You dedicate countless hours to studying, yet 70% of the information vanishes within 24 hours. It is discouraging, is it not? Do not blame yourself, however. This is not your personal failure. The human brain is biologically designed to discard unused data, functioning much like a computer that clears its cache automatically. How then do Japanese students manage to memorize over 2,000 kanji characters and retain them for a lifetime? You might assume they simply work harder. That is incorrect. They study with greater intelligence. The reality is that conventional techniques, such as rereading, note-taking, highlighting, and murmuring lines, cause your brain to perceive the input as background noise. Much like skipping a commercial on YouTube, your mind sees no reason to store it. Think back to the last time you pulled an all-nighter, highlighting every page to prepare for an exam, only to find your mind blank afterward. Why does this happen? Science identifies a concept known as the forgetting curve, the hidden adversary of memory. Within one day of learning, the majority of your knowledge dissipates. After 3 days, only minor fragments remain. Fortunately, there is a way to escape this cycle. Japanese students have practiced this for centuries, not by increasing their workload, but by optimizing their methods. You do not need to read hundreds of scientific papers to grasp this, as I have already done the heavy lifting for you. Below are 5 elite, scientifically validated learning techniques that enable you to memorize longer and learn faster without burying yourself in books all day. Are you ready? Let us begin the exploration. 1. Active recall, training memory like a samurai. Most people employ the wrong approach. We passively reread textbooks, use highlighters, and transcribe notes, believing we are absorbing knowledge. In truth, the brain categorizes this as ambient noise and quickly pushes it aside. To achieve long-term retention, you must force your brain to exert effort. Japanese students do not merely ingest data. They compel their minds to retrieve it repeatedly, much like samurai practicing swordsmanship. With every draw and swing of the blade, their muscles sharpen and memory functions in a parallel manner. The mechanics of active recall are straightforward. Every time you attempt to recollect information without glancing at your book, you strengthen the neural pathways in your brain. Initially, this task is extremely difficult, and you may even feel frustrated by your inability to recall facts. Yet this very struggle is the key to lasting memory. How do you apply this? It is simple. First, close your book. Then take a blank sheet of paper. Next, write down everything you remember about the subject you just studied. It does not need to be comprehensive or perfectly organized. You simply need to force your brain to search for the information. Afterward, open your text to check what you misremembered or missed. Repeat this process multiple times and you will witness your memory strengthening daily. We cram and forget, whereas Japanese students sharpen their memory like a lethal blade. 2. The Kumon method, learning in small increments. Imagine attempting to scale a massive mountain. If you try to sprint to the peak, you will be exhausted before reaching the halfway point. However, if you break the journey into small stages with adequate rest, reaching the goal becomes manageable. Learning is identical. Many assume academic success requires grinding for hours and cramming knowledge in short bursts, but that is a recipe for burnout and memory loss. Conversely, Japanese students utilize a technique called Kumon, learning in small but consistent daily steps. This method operates on a simple yet highly effective principle. Divide knowledge into digestible segments, then study and review them daily. Instead of stuffing an entire book into your head in one night, they study small amounts, repeating them until they reach deep understanding. Researcher James Clear, author of the renowned book Atomic Habits, emphasizes this. Improving by 1% every day leads to massive transformation over time. You only need to be slightly better daily, and in a year, you will be much further ahead than someone attempting a single overnight breakthrough. How can you apply Kumon to your studies? It is simple. Set a small daily goal, one chapter, one exercise, or a group of vocabulary words. Ensure it is small enough to finish without feeling overwhelmed. The next day, before starting new material, spend a moment reviewing what you learned previously by moving slowly but surely. You will not only memorize better, but also avoid the cycle of cramming and forgetting. Learning is not a sprint, it is a persistent journey, and the Kumon method acts as the compass to keep you on track. 3. Spaced repetition, reviewing at the right time. Imagine tending to a plant. If you overwater it one day and ignore it for a week, it will wither. If you water it at the right time with the right amount, it will flourish. Your memory behaves the same way. Many people fall into the habit of cramming at the last minute, rereading chapters right before tests, or doing dozens of exercises in a single night. This is a significant error, as cramming causes faster forgetting. Instead, Japanese students utilize a technique called spaced repetition, timed intervals, which allows them to retain information long-term without needing to study excessively. The principle of spaced repetition is simple. Rather than reviewing everything in one day, you distribute your reviews at critical moments, just before your brain is about to discard the information. Studies indicate that if you revisit material after 24 hours, then 3 days, a week, and a month, you will secure it in long-term memory. How can you easily apply spaced repetition? Use flashcards. If you lack them, you can check the link in my description. They are quite affordable. Alternatively, use apps like Anki or Quizlet, which automatically organize optimal review times. If you prefer traditional methods, create your own schedule. Learn new content today, review tomorrow, then in 3 days, then a week later. The most crucial aspect is not waiting until you have forgotten everything to review. Revisit the material while you still have some recollection. That is when the brain is most stimulated to store information permanently. Japanese students do not wait until the night before the exam. They systematize their reviews, turning their memory into a lush garden rather than a barren field after a harvest. If you wish to remember for a long time without relearning from scratch, start reviewing at the right intervals today. 4. The Kaizen method. Continuous 1% improvement daily. Success does not arrive through massive leaps, but through tiny improvements every day. This is the essence of Kaizen, a Japanese philosophy of learning and work focused on constant progress through small, sustainable steps. Many believe that to excel, they must immediately overhaul their entire routine, studying for hours or trying to absorb vast amounts of knowledge quickly. In reality, sudden changes rarely last. You might study intensely for a week, only to lose motivation and revert to old habits. Conversely, the Japanese believe in incremental growth. If you improve by just 1% every day, after 1 month, you will improve by nearly 30%, and after 1 year, the transformation will be astounding. How can you apply Kaizen to your studies? You only need 6 minutes daily. 2 minutes for active recall to test your memory by writing down what you learned, 2 minutes for spaced repetition to review key content at the right time, and 2 minutes for deliberate practice by doing exercises on the material. With just 6 minutes a day, you generate continuous improvement without feeling overloaded. The most important thing is to maintain this daily habit rather than exhausting yourself in a short burst and giving up. Remember, success is not about speed, but about persistence. If you consistently apply Kaizen, after only a few weeks, you will see yourself progressing naturally without stress or pressure while achieving superior results. If you wish to understand the Kaizen method more deeply, you can check out the book on the Kaizen method linked in the description below. 5. The Zanshin method, the art of ultimate focus. Have you ever sat down to study only to pick up your phone to check messages or let your mind drift into random thoughts after a few minutes? It is not that you lack determination or have poor focus. It is simply that you have not entered a state of deep concentration. The Japanese have a concept called Zanshin, originating from the world of the samurai. This is a state of awareness completely fixed on the present moment. A Japanese archer does not merely draw the bow and fire. He feels every breath, every muscle movement, the tension of the string, and the precise moment to release the arrow. A swordsman drawing his blade does not let his mind be distracted by anything except the opponent before him. In study, Zanshin is the ability to eliminate distractions and immerse yourself entirely in the lesson. When you reach this state, you not only absorb knowledge faster, but retain it longer. However, to truly apply Zanshin, you must build an environment and habits that help your brain enter a state of deep focus easily. First, you need a fixed study space dedicated solely to learning. If you study in bed or in a place with too many distractions, your brain will not recognize that it is time to focus. Furthermore, establishing a study ritual is vital. It could be a small action, like lighting a candle, listening to gentle music, or using a familiar pen before starting. By repeating this habit daily, your brain will automatically recognize the signal and enter focus mode more easily. Another critical element is completely eliminating distractions that could interrupt your progress. If your phone is the cause of your distraction, set it to silent or keep it out of reach. If you frequently get lost on useless websites, use apps that block distracting content during your study time. Finally, focus on the process rather than the pressure of the results. When you truly enjoy every minute of learning, absorbing knowledge becomes easier and effectiveness comes naturally. Japanese students do not just study with their intellect, they study with total concentration. When you are truly focused, 1 hour of effective study can be more valuable than an entire evening filled with distractions. Try applying Zanshin today and feel the difference. You can continue studying the old way and forget most of what you have learned, or you can change today. The Japanese do not study more, they study smarter. Active recall for long-term memory, Kumon for step-by-step progress, spaced repetition for timely review, Kaizen for daily improvement, and Zanshin for maximum focus. Choose one method and try it right now. Do not wait until tomorrow. Do not just read and ignore it. Success comes from action, not thought. You know the secret. The question now is, do you have the courage to start?